folks, and welcome back to another episode of Friday Night Spotlight, brought to you by 911 Air Repair, your local air conditioning expert specializing in maintenance, repair, and new installations. We are officially at the halfway point and beyond for our regular season of football. I mentioned beyond because 3A and 2A started a week before our 5A and 4A schools, which are now entering their fifth week of competition. And for this game of the week, we are going down to the 2A level. We are talking about one of our undefeated teams in Santa Cruz Valley. Santa Cruz is 5-0. They are going to be hosting Phoenix NFL Yet, which is 2-2. David, you've seen Santa Cruz. What can you say about the Dust Devils?
They're one of the best teams in 2A. I think that they've proven it so far. They just allowed their first points as a defense this last week. They've shut out everybody else so far, and this team is just so well-rounded on all sides of the ball, whether it offense or defense. Quarterback Nathan Harris is having a shining season in his senior year. Fantastic so far. Their 1-2 combo at running back of Jonathan Ramos and Aiden Isigari have been a really solid pair for them so far. They have really good wide receivers as well, who are the guys that are catching Nathan Harris's passes. Harris is a little bit mobile, but he's more kind of a pocket passer kind of guy. He doesn't use his legs as much as I would like to see him use it, but he still can if he needs to. But the thing is, he hasn't really had to because his offensive line has done a really good job for him. This team is just so well-rounded and has stars at every side of the ball, no matter where you look. And I continue just to see this team getting better and better. The only thing holding them back is unfortunately not even in their power. It's their schedule. Sometimes teams who don't have very strong schedules or a strong region kind of get looked past upon when it comes to the rankings. And rankings are king, unfortunately, in this AIA world. So they're going to have to continue to win and show that they are worthy of a top 5 spot. They're definitely going to get there, in my opinion. Could even be as close to top 3, depending on how else the rest of the season goes. But in this game specifically, I think it's just going to be another easy week for them. While they can't let up, I think this game is going to prove that they are still really strong and are looking towards a possible 2A championship if they can get there.
So David mentioned opponents scoring against Santa Cruz. I don't know if maybe the defense has just let up a little bit, or maybe these last two teams have been able to find some magic potion that works for them. But hey, Santa Cruz has given up points their last 2 games. Other than that, like David mentioned, it's been shutouts. I would love to give specific guys on Santa Cruz's defense their flowers. However, stats are not up to date online, so I can't do that. Same goes for NFL Yet. No stats online. However, I do know they are coming off a bye last week, and that's pretty much all I can say about them. So moving over very quickly to our what to watch. David, what do you have your eye on this week?
I am taking a look at Santan Valley, and I'm looking at Combs High School. Combs has been kind of in the bottom feeder so far the last few years. They're just still trying to find themselves, but so far, hey, right now they're 4-0. They've had a really good year so far, and things are finally starting to piece together. I think a big part of that is their quarterback, Cannon Hale, just a sophomore this year and has done really well so far. Passed for 472 yards, 5 touchdowns, only 1 pick. He's done really good for them so far. He's also a pretty decent runner when he has to, 45 yards and a touchdown when it comes to rushing. They have just a really good running back core as well, mainly being Isaac Jeffcoat. He's been solid for them so far. And, Cannon Hale is a legacy for Combs. His older brother, Tanner Hale, was the starting quarterback for them for a lot of years. And he was Hale was the guy that kind of led this team to a possible playoff appearance a few years ago. But unfortunately, things didn't go their way against a game in Arcadia in the last game of the season that they just missed out the 4A playoffs. So I don't know exactly to put them in playoff contention just yet, or a possible playoff team, because they are going to face a really tough Prescott team this year, or this season, this next week. Prescott's been really solid for. They just beat Vista Grande last week, so this is going to be a true test. This is their first real test of what we can see from this team and if they're actually for real or not. They haven't really played anybody yet outside of a 2-0 win against Eastmark in week 2. So, Combs could be a team to look for, but this is kind of the first real week where we're going to see what do they have so far in a really solid Prescott team. I like them so far. I don't know if I can pick them just yet, but I'm excited to see what they can do.
All right, my game to watch is staying in Santan Valley. I'm talking about Post Dubuque, and kind of opposite of the teams we've talked about. I feel like this is kind of the make it or break it week for Post Dubuque. So far, the Broncos are 1-3. Their last 2 games have been absolute heartbreakers. They were right on the brink of winning them. However, penalties were what hurt them and proved costly at the end of 2 weeks ago. They fell to Gilbert Campo Verde 16-14, and just last week they lost in overtime to Eager Round Valley 25-24. So this is a rare Saturday game. They're going to be going up to Flagstaff to play Coconino, and Coconino is 1-2. The thing here is it's always tough for our Pinal County teams and Valley teams, pretty much anybody who's not up in the high country, to go up there and compete because of the altitude. However, Post Dubuque kind of has the upper hand here, I think. Knowing head coach Dane Thompson, he spends a lot of his off season up in the high country, up in that Show Payson area, kind of just preparing his guys. When it comes to their preseason scrimmage, they're always at Prescott trying to make sure they kind of compete in that high altitude and get a little bit of a head start when it comes to conditioning and everything. So Post Dubuque is known for their run game. The past couple of years, it's no different this season. Jalen Brooks, Easton Folletti, Evan Moore, Mason Lloyd, all of these guys can do a really solid job of running the ball, and because they do such a good job of running the ball, they really control the clock, which is kind of key here for them. Because looking at Coconino, they have that 1-2 punch with quarterback Colton and Buckingham and running back Fernando Ramirez, and they can pretty much spread out the ball pretty evenly, which, sometimes it can kind of hurt you when you're on defense because, hey, while you're preparing for the run, you got that scrambling quarterback who can move around, extend the play, and then hit his guy downfield. So Post Dubuque, this is the key game here because looking ahead at their next couple of games, hey, they're playing Eastmark, always a difficult opponent, and then it comes that juggernaut against Snowflake in the bottom part of their season. Unfortunately, not a lot of key high-quality opponents when it comes to them. So, hey, this is their break it or make it game. If they're looking at potentially trying to sneak into the playoffs, this is where it starts in preparation for those next two games coming up. As always, here are our picks. Like I mentioned, we have this Saturday game, we have one Thursday game, but other than that, hey, check us out next week for whatever we have in store for you guys.